All right, how's your bracket look in the NCAA tournament down to the Sweet 16? The surprise bracket in the Midwest where number 10 Syracuse has advanced to take on number 11 Gonzaga. All four number one squads have moved on by conference. Pac-12, just one team left, Oregon. Big Ten, 3 teams remaining. ACC, would you believe this? They have the most schools still in the tournament with 6 total. We need to break down the brackets. Kerry Keating, former coach over at Santa Clara, nice enough to come on by. Thanks very much. We're going to use all of your knowledge right here, right now. John Lund and Marcus Thompson, stick around. Let's start with this one. How dramatic was that first weekend? How great was it just to watch those games?
It was great finally to be a fan. I mean, 25 years for me, coaching since I'm 19 years old, and I get a chance to sit on the couch with my kids and watch it as a fan, and I tell you, it's nerve-wracking when you're coaching, but how exciting as a fan to be able to see all the excitement and the buzzer beaters and just the comebacks and everything that went into that first weekend was exactly what you needed.
Best first weekend that you can remember in a while?
It was awesome. Just in the 2 games that Northern Iowa played, for them to hit the midcourt shot and then to blow the big lead against Texas A&M, I've never seen anything like that. What was it, 12 points with 44 seconds left in the game? You literally, you're just watching those kids in the postgame and you've been there.
You're bleeding
it's just,
for 'em.
yeah, you just feel so bad for them, but that's why it's so great. You just don't know.
You know, let me use that as let me go back to the coaching brain that we've got here. So you have that Northern Iowa team and Texas A&M, and that meltdown that happened in that game. How will future coaches or coaches look at that circumstance and say, we can learn from that?
Well, as a coach, you go through every possible scenario that may or may not come up. I used to go through one that never came up in 20 years, but it's going to happen. And, of course, this happened first time ever. I think it was the biggest comeback in NCAA history, regardless of tournament, under a minute, 12 points. You know, there's a lot of things that could have happened. I think one thing that stuck out to me was a 3-possession game. Jesperson gets the ball, you'll see in the video here, and if he just throws this ball literally to his basket, just the time it will take maybe for his guy or them to recover it and come back another 90 feet, maybe that's another 8, 9, 10 seconds. Maybe that's all they needed. They had a guy open there that if he went long, they had all 5 guys in the backcourt. You just want the game to end so badly. And I've been in those situations in different, but nothing like this before. And you try and try and try. You maybe simulate that, but you can never simulate the pressure that the tournament brings.
Plus,
up.
I mean, I was sitting at home going, move on the baseline. You're helping the kid. Like at the show, the kid wasn't moving on the baseline. There was just, and like you said, they just kind of panicked and lost it. And it was just, and once I think it started to snowball on them, they just lost it. They, steal, turnover, easy hoop, and it was just like, oh, this is going to happen.
The coaches and the players said after in the press conference, their inbound guy was hurt. Bohannon was hurt and couldn't be in the game. It's going to lead maybe to some coaches saying, you know, we need a second inbound guy sometimes just in case there's foul trouble or an injury, because the inbound guy has to make all these decisions, especially with no timeouts. Who do I give the ball to? Where does it go in? Now, think back 2 days before. The inbound guy got it to Jesperson at the right place, the right time, 2 seconds, half court, and they win. So the highs and the lows of making the right decisions also go into the highs and lows of the emotions that follow after those games.
Biggest surprises for you watching the tournament over the weekend? Anything just stand out to you that was fun?
Fun?
Exciting? Oh, it doesn't have to be fun. It could have stood out because it didn't go right.
You know, I love seeing stars, right? I like watching Buddy, you know, come through in the clutch. You know, that for me was big time. The Pac-12 has been a complete disaster, and from going to school in Atlanta, right, on the East Coast, and trying to tell everybody how great West Coast basketball is, like, I'm glad I'm not there, because they're destroying us right now. We look terrible. So, you know, but anytime a guy just takes over in college, that really gets me. And seeing some good dudes, Yogi from Indiana, I mean, these guys are balling. And I love to see that, especially maybe if Jaylen Brown could have gave me one game, I'd have been a little bit better about that.
Why is it, because it's a one-game circumstance, did we see so many close finishes, so many upsets? There's so many quality games. It's one game, and you'd think, oh, well, Michigan State should have a walk in the park in their first round, and it just doesn't happen.
Well, to your point, you want a guy like Denzel Valentine to rise up and see him culminate his phenomenal career with the Hall of Fame coach in a team in a program that's used to being in the Final Four. Maybe the biggest surprise of the tournament so far on the losing side, Michigan State losing in the first round. You know, the tournament does a lot of things to a lot of different people. And I think part of the Pac-12's problem was they ran into programs in VCU, Wichita State. Those programs had been to the Final Four. And there's a carry forward with those coaches into those programs. Those kids expect to win those games, and the first round games really aren't that big a deal to them, whereas the Pac-12 kind of expects to because they're a BCS type
Especially like
conference.
Wichita. I mean, they were like pros out there. I mean, the way they played, you could tell that this was nothing to them.
All right, so a tough time for the Pac-12, in particular Cal, losing to Hawaii. That was just awful for that club, wasn't it? Just awful.
Well, to have Wallace right away to break the hand, and he's your leading scorer. He's the guy who's handling the basketball. We talk all the time. You know this coach. I mean, look, you got to have great guard play, and then to have the back spasm right before the game. I mean, you just could tell. You're like, can I change my pick to Hawaii real quick? This is not good. So yeah, I mean, it's writing on the wall. And then the other one too, Utah getting blown up by Gonzaga, 82-59. I wouldn't think a Larry Kostoiak team would have that kind of a way to get out of the tournament.
You know who I feel for? St. Mary's.
I was there last night. They're playing well.
Randy Bennett, his team would have been ready.
They would have. You surprised the way Cal participated in this?
You know, it's a Murphy's Law deal. Obviously, the thing that went on off the court with their assistant coach and Kwanzaa not signing his contract and the assistant being in a harassment case. And, you know, are the two kids going to stay or are they going to go? And Jalen didn't play well in the Pac-12 tournament game they lost. And obviously that carried over a little bit on a personal level for him. Didn't play great in where he needed to play even better with Jabari out, with Tyrone out. You know, you got to have a lot of faith in Kwanzaa. He's done it before. He's a high-level player at Purdue. He was able to succeed at Tennessee, obviously at Missouri State before that, and there's trust that he's the coach. And these times are really trying because you really never know what's going on in a college setting. It's not like the pros where these guys that's their job. It's what they're expected to do. You know, there's some sentiment that it's their job in college too. We can go back and forth about whether they should be paid or they amateurs, but there's so many things going on that you really don't know, and the burden falls on the head coach to kind of tie it all together. And things can change in an instant. And in an NCAA tournament game where you only have a one and done, and those changes can really be troublesome. And obviously, Cal almost defeated itself before Hawaii even defeated them.
All right, we only got a couple of minutes here, so I want to get all three of you on your Final Four picks. Who do you like for your Final Four?
I had Michigan State, so now we get this reset. I love the bracket, too. Kansas, I'm going to stick with Kansas and Carolina. I think the two best teams playing the best, although Yogi has a shot to really do something special on a personal level. Texas A&M riding the obvious. I had them before the tournament, and now it's almost fate that they go through that miraculous finish to ride it to a Final Four and obviously face Kansas where Carolina could face. I'm going with Gonzaga now.
Good for you.
Now that I'm a West Coast guy, Homer, and Gonzaga's playing well enough.
Represent.
They really are.
All right, you like that, and you like that with North Carolina. Marcus, give me yours.
I'm going with Kansas and Duke just because I don't like either one of them, which means they're going to go, right? I'm going with Yogi, and then I'm going with Virginia. ACC is clearly loaded, and they're the best team in ACC probably, so I think Virginia's pretty deep. I almost went with Oklahoma, but Duke's going to win just because I don't want them.
All righty, and John, finish strong.
Kansas and Carolina, obviously, I think the most two talented teams. A&M, I agree with Coach. It seems, I remember Tyus Edney going coast to coast for UCLA. It just seems like when that team just survives, they go for a long way after that. A&M is it, and then, you know, so.
Where's Notre Dame in all of your brackets, for crying out loud? With that miraculous victory that they had.
Yeah.
Kerry, stick around. We got more college basketball we want to talk about. After entering the NCAA tournament, with its highest seed ever, the Cal men's basketball program had arguably its worst week ever. We discussed the very uncertain future of that program. Straight ahead on Sports Talk Live, presented by Comcast Business. KJ, thanks very much. Here's how you define a very bad week for a college basketball program. The Cal Bears win the NCAA tournament as a 4 seed. Then assistant Jan Hufnagel gets fired after allegations of sexual harassment. Head coach Cuonzo Martin will now be investigated in that situation. Then guard Tyrone Wallace breaks his non-shooting hand before the tournament. Cal loses to Hawaii in round 1. Top recruit Tyson Jolly asked to be released from his letter of intent. How could it get any worse? If you're the Cal Bears, welcome in Sports Talk Live. Kerry Keating sticks around. John Lund, Marcus Thompson. You're a college basketball coach, Kerry. How tough is this week? If you're a program and you're looking at what's going on, how tough has this week been for Cal?
The only thing that could have solved or eased some of the pain was the win. Because as a coach, winning is everything. Losing is like dying. But when you have all these other things heaped on you, and as a head coach, you have decisions to make that are non-basketball related almost 90% of your 100% of your time. You know, where's your kids at? Where are your coaches at? You know, you have to answer to people above you. You have to present the right image. And Cuonzo, you know, I've known him even before he came out to the West Coast. Very, very well respected, very intelligent, very driven, very loyal. And I think, you know, delivers the right message to the kids. But when things start to happen that are out of your immediate control, and then you have to kind of solve those problems, sometimes it can affect some of those other decisions you have to make to keep the program moving in the right direction. Case in point, a recruit, an 18-year-old kid decides, oh, this isn't the place for me. And a kid, as a coach, you're making these decisions that every year you're relying on 18, 19-year-old kids to help feed your family, you know, to help the next 18, 19-year-old kid make a decision. And that's hard enough as it is. So now to top it off, a heralded recruit that they were counting on, because we don't know if Ivan and Jalen are going to go or they're going to stay. Is Jabari going to be healthy? You know, Tyrone's graduating. You know, where's your roster at as you move forward? But then you have all these ancillary things you have to deal with that kind of affect all these kids, because the kids only know what they know. And in this day and age of social media, of instant access, of instant justice, if you will, in some cases, it's hard enough to manage. I feel for Cuonzo and wish there was something we can do, as we got a lot of pride in the Bay Area and what we do, and we're really excited when Cal got a 4 seed. You expect them to kind of carry the torch, and obviously the team, if St. Mary's doesn't make it, you know, no WCC teams outside of the Bay Area, you know, it's something that you don't want to wish upon anyone, but it's obviously a lot of sleepless nights coming for them, and some hard decisions probably going to have to be made pretty soon.
But as all this stuff floats out there, and you're the Cal program, how quickly do you have to come to a conclusion on what's right and wrong and make a public statement, whether it's getting rid of Coach Martin or saying, nope, he's okay, he's on, and we're staying right straight ahead?
You got to do it as soon as possible, because as Coach just said, and as you just lost a key recruit, that's what's going to be happening. These guys are going to be getting on the recruiting trail going, ooh, you're going to go to Cal, you know what's going on there. They might be losing their coach. Even if it's not true, you start, as you said, the court of public opinion starts, and you better deal with this thing fast, because your program can spiral out of control. Kids could be leaving, all sorts of things. Parents will start calling. You're going to have problems. You got to deal with this right away, and especially because it's such a hot button topic.
How likely is it we see the same coaching staff at Cal when the season starts next year?
Staff? Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well, I mean, we already lost one, so
right.
It'll be different.
But from head coach on down.
I mean, I'm with you. I kind of believe somehow, just because of how Cuonzo is, he'll walk away. I just don't see him doing something shady, which means he'll probably be vindicated. Yeah. Look, this is a good spot for him, and he knows that. It's a good spot for him. He knows that. He likes it. He's losing some bargaining power here, but I feel like he'll be here. Look, he just came off a rough situation. You don't want to hop around like that as a coach. You want to make a home, and I think he likes it there. So I feel like he'll be back. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going to come out, but just what I know of him, I feel like somehow he'll survive.
All right, we got 1 minute in this segment. You have Jalen Brown and Ivan Rabb, and they have a decision to make. If, with all of this that's hovering around, Kerry, advise them. What would you tell them to do?
It's hard to tell a kid not to go chase the millions that's there waiting for them, because the NBA drafts on potential. You know, whether it's potential now or potential 3 to 5 years down the road, they'll work that potential out. Both of those kids, they've been pegged with that potential since they were 16, 15, even 14 years old. One thing that can ease all of this and ease the pain, and obviously having faith in Cuonzo, is that they come back. And I think Cuonzo's the type of guy that can make them see the light of where everyone can benefit, themselves, the program, the university, the community, their future, their family, in coming back. But it's a hard decision to make. It's not one that I wish upon anyone, although hopefully it works out for the best for all of them. I would love to see them back. I'd love to see them kind of, vindicate themselves by coming back and really solidifying the program all around. It's the one thing right now that could probably
saving grace.
Yeah. It's hard, and it's a tough one for 18, 19-year-old kids to make, because you got a guaranteed future ahead of you coming.
We appreciate the insights, Coach. We got to have you back as this tournament moves on.
Yeah,
hopefully everything gets right for Cal and things go moving in the right direction. More to come, though. It's an historic week for the United States and Major League Baseball in Cuba.